Hi everyone, I'm Shanna with AKA by Design. Today I'm going to show you how to wet sand. So this piece was a really dark brown piece, and I put a custom coat of like gray on it because the client wanted a white piece that had some gray undertones. And then I have 3 coats of Alamo white. So they're pretty thin coats. And you can see I still have a little bit that shows through, and that's okay because I'm going to be wet sanding and I'm going to be distressing a little bit. So the supplies that I'm using, I have a bowl of water. I have some very fine grit sandpaper, it's 220. I have a magic eraser that I'm going to use, and then I have a dry towel. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to start out by getting my sandpaper wet, and then I'm just going to start sanding. I don't want to apply too much pressure because what I don't want to happen is my piece to start scratching. And essentially what I'm doing is I'm really just kind of loosening up the product in a sense, and as it's getting sandy, I'm really rubbing it back in. So it does get kind of wet, and I'll get a little bit of water that drips and it's starting to be pretty paint-laden water. But I'm just going to keep working at it a little bit. You can see, I don't know if you can see very well, but I can see it gets kind of pasty in some spots, and if I go like that, you know, it's white because, like I said, it's dusting up, but since there's water on it, it's not going to get really dusty. And then what I'm going to do, because I want to softly work my way down to the under colors, I'm going to take a magic eraser and just very lightly I'm going to go over it. And what that's going to do is it's also going to remove some of the paint as well. But I'm going to do a mix of both the sandpaper and the magic eraser just to make sure that I'm getting enough off lightly enough, but also being very consistent with wiping it off with that magic eraser. So again, I'm just going to go at it a little bit more. I did paint up and down, so my brush strokes are up and down, and I'm going back and forth like this, and that's just so I can help kind of blend in some of those thicker and thinner lines together, because the idea with wet sanding is you're kind of going down to a glass-like finish. It's going to be really smooth and really consistent, so it's going to have this really nice uniform shine. It's going to have like a glass finish. It's absolutely gorgeous. So again, I'm just going to kind of keep working at it. It does get kind of messy, so I have a dry towel, and I'm just going to take my dry towel and I'm going to wipe it off. And I don't know if you can see, it's a pretty light towel, but you can see how the paint's coming off on the towel. And again, I'm just going to go back and forth between my magic eraser and then also my sandpaper. Some spots I'm going to rub a little bit harder, a little bit more, because I'm looking for some of the undercoat to show through, kind of like it does here. And again, I don't want to work too quickly because if I do that, what's going to happen is I'm going to tear some of the paint off. It's going to be inconsistent, and I'm going to have to repaint it. So word to the wise is be really patient this step. You know, kind of work with it. Take your sandpaper across it once. Sorry, that's my dog. I'm going to wipe it off again. You can see, I don't know if you can see, I hope you can see, but right here, I do have a little spot that's starting to come up. That's probably a little bit thicker than I wanted to, so I'm going to be really, really careful around this spot, because what's going to happen is if I continue to put pressure around here, whether that's with sandpaper or a magic eraser, that spot's going to get really big and it's going to look like I scratched it. So I'm going to be really careful around that spot. And again, I'm just going to dip my sandpaper in water, and I'm just going to go back at it. I've went over this a couple times now with sandpaper and the magic eraser, so I'm going to just be extremely careful to ensure that I don't get another spot such as that. So I definitely don't want it to look like it's scratched up. But it can happen to anybody. It's all trial and error, especially when we're doing creative things. So, all right. And I'm going to wipe wipe off again. So I don't know if you can see right here, I'm starting to get the paint to come up. I actually want a little bit of this, but again, I have to be super, super careful because if I continue to apply pressure on this particular area more than I went to, I'm going to have a big old brown spot. So again, I'm just very, very lightly going over it. So one of the reasons I use a magic eraser is great at removing paint, but it also does it a little bit more consistently than sandpaper does because of course sandpaper has the rust spots all over it. So that's why I'm kind of using both of the mediums to ensure that I have a nice finish. Some people just use sandpaper, that's fine. Sometimes I might just use a magic eraser. Sandpaper helps things come off a little bit quicker, and if anybody that watches me sees my stuff, you're fully aware that I like to use different mediums, I like to use different products, so it's obviously no surprise that I'm using both a magic eraser and a piece of sandpaper. Again, I'm just going to wipe here. And dry it off, kind of see how it's coming along. Alright, I'm pretty happy with it. I think what I'm going to do is go over it with sandpaper one more time because I want like 1 or 2 more spots like this. And I think the best way to get that the quickest is just to kind of go over it with sandpaper. And I'm sorry, I know you're just seeing my hair there, so let me back up. Again, I'm going to wipe it off. So as you can see, there's a lot of white on there because that paint is getting loose. Alright, and I can see that my undercolor is starting to come up a little bit better. And I'm just going to go really, really light because again, what I don't want to do is take a big chunk out of my piece. I'm going to dip it in here one more time. I got my magic eraser. And I'm going to dry it off. Alright, let's do some close-ups. So as you can see here, we've got some really cool distressing happening. You can see it's kind of like black and gray now. So that's exactly what I wanted. The other thing that I will show you is, I think this is really cool. This is my, my edging here. I love to have some distressing around the edges, so I'll just do a quick distressing there. And you can see I did that in a couple different places. My camera's not focusing, so I apologize. Alright.